Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is on a really cheap brand that I found called Olivia Hale, and I found it at Home Bargains. Everything I bought was between £1 and £2, and I got really excited and just bought a full face. However, this is my second time doing it, as the first round I did corrupted, so I had to re-record. So this isn't really my first impressions, but it was my first time properly on camera again. You can see I haven't done my eyebrows or anything to my face, just my skincare, as like I said, we have a full face. So we'll first start with a primer and then move on to eyebrows. This is the primer we bought. I don't have any more of the packaging because I threw them all away when I recorded this. It didn't have any claims, it just said to apply it to the T-zone and for a smooth application of your foundation. So we'll start off with that. That is what the top looks like. It's just a squirty thing. I'm just gonna take that much. We'll apply that to the T-zone and just move it to the outsides of the face. The texture does feel like silicone, and like I said, it has no claims to do anything. I guess it would just give you a smoother surface to apply the foundation onto. Doesn't say anything about pore minimizing or illuminating or anything like that. I'm just going to put my hair back quickly and we'll come back and we'll move on to eyebrows. For eyebrows, I got this eyebrow pencil, and on one side we have the pencil bit, which is a twist up, and on the other side we have a spoolie. Usually when I start my eyebrows, I just like to brush everything up or into position like that, and then I will take the other side with a pencil and I'll just fill in where I feel like we need some extra hairs. This pencil is fairly hard, so it doesn't really draw very easily, but I think it's a good thing because then you can't overdraw. So just filling in the outsides or the end bit of my eyebrow, and then I like to lift my brow and just try and fill in the front over here where it's a bit sparse. I usually like I said, to start on the end of my brows just to get the shape, and I don't like doing it too thick because I naturally don't have thick brows, so I just end up looking like an angry bird. Next we got a brow gel, and it's just a clear brow gel. I usually prefer the tinted ones because my eyebrows are so sparse, but when I tried this the last time it worked really well. So that is what the spoolie looks like. I usually start this at the front of my brow and just comb through that and comb it in the exact same position that you want it in. And that's the brows complete. I know a lot of people wanted to see me do that on camera, but I feel like it's such a palaver that I don't really like to do it on camera, especially when I use brow powders. I prefer to do it off camera because it just takes so long. The next item we purchased was this little eyeshadow palette. I really did like all the neutral colors in here, and it's a mix of shimmers and mattes, and that is what it looks like inside. It comes with a little brush, but it's more of like a shimmer applicator. It has 12 colors, but just little pans, but I think it was £1.29. It was really worth it. Before we start that, I've started to use like a little technique that I picked up on other YouTube channels and social media, where you put tape on the sides of your eyes just to get a nice shape. I'm not really good at it. I usually would just follow my eyeline and make it really round, but this gives you a nice angled shape. If you see that in future videos, just know it's just for the shape. What you do is just take 2 pieces of tape, you place that right underneath your bottom lash line and to the end of your brow, or a little bit further in my case because I have really short brows. That will just give you a nice shape for the shadow. So if I look funny, I'm sorry. I know you get disposable eyeshadow coverings which help with it as well, but I thought I'd just try this before I invest in something like that. I'm just going to take a fluffy brush, and I think the first transition color we'll use is this one over here, this brown, starting on the outside corner again where we want the darkest shade, and just sweeping that into the crease. And as you can see, when you're going along this line, the tape picks up all the fallout. That was just one dip, and I think that's really good for such a cheap product. Next, we're gonna dip into this maroon shade over here, tapping off the excess, and we're just gonna layer that on the outer corner, again just under the first shade we used. We're just going to concentrate most of that color on the outside corner as usual. When there's a bit less on the brush, we will start sweeping that in towards the inner eye, but not going all the way. Look how good that is for just one dip. Next, I'm just going to take this matte orange shade over here, just on a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to place that on the actual lid, so we have a nice base shade for the shimmers. Gonna actually just use this little brush that came in the palette. We're just gonna dip into this shimmer over here. The texture isn't bad at all, and the pigment looks really nice. Picking some of that up and spraying it with some setting spray. We're gonna place that on the outer third of the eye. Just tapping that on. There is a lot of glitter fallout with the brush, but let's use our finger. It feels really spongy and nice, and just doing half the lid with that. Again, just using a tapping motion and not a dragging motion. That looks really nice, but I want the color a bit more intense. For the inner part of the lid, we're gonna go for this shade over here. It's like a golden orange shift. We're gonna dip in this color with a flat brush again, spraying it with some setting spray. Pat that on the inner third of the eye. Oh, I really do like that shade as well. It blends in really nicely. And then I'm just going to complete the other eye off camera, and we'll come back and we'll move on to liquid liner. Now that the other eye is complete, we're going to move on to liquid liner, and this is the one that I got from Olivia Hale. It's quite large, and this is what the applicator looks like. I'll just draw a little line for you, and that is what that looks like. It's a little bit wet. We'll apply that from the about a third of the way in to the eye, and just dragging that along. I mean, it isn't amazing, it is skipping some spots, but we'll just go over that. This was also just £1. And just filling in that wing. So that's it for liquid liner. I'm just going to wait until that dries down, and then I'm going to remove the tape and we'll move on to mascara. This is what the mascara looks like. It is just black. It has quite an interesting applicator. That is what it looks like. It has like some horns on the top, and it's a rubber one, so it's nice for lengthening. You can actually just use the front of the applicator just to brush through your lashes, and if you can see, it just adds a lot of product on there. So just adding a nice layer of mascara so that we don't have any more fallout. Not that we had much, but just in case. It does make it a little bit difficult to brush through with this shape in the front. As you can see, the liner, it does actually crack quite a bit, so for me, I prefer much more smooth applicators, and the brush is, I mean the applicator itself is also quite hard, so it's like drawing with a pencil, and it's not really to my taste, to be honest. Moving on, I'm just going to grab some of the primer again, just a little bit, just a touch like that, and I'm just gonna dot that where the tape was, just patting that in. I also did buy as you can see, I used it, a beauty sponge and a foundation brush from Olivia Hale. So one side of my face I'm going to apply the foundation with the brush, and the other side we'll do with the sponge. For foundation, they didn't have my shade though. They only had vanilla and ivory, which are both way too light for me. So I ended up getting a BB cream in the shade medium. So like I said, I did apply this a few days ago when I filmed with it. And the undertone is red, so it doesn't really look amazing on the skin, but the formula isn't bad at all. I'm just going to squeeze some out on my hand. As you can see, I don't know if it's showing on camera, but it does have a red tint. I'm going to start off with a foundation brush, and we're going to start that on the side of the face, and I'm just going to stipple that on the face. I don't know if you can see now, compared to my normal skin color, it is a very red or a very dark orange. I think that's the mistake that most companies make, is that they think that people with darker skin tones have a red or orange undertone, but mine is more neutral. It looks yellow, but it is definitely more neutral. So it applies really nicely, and it is a very full coverage for a BB cream. Usually my BB creams are more like a tinted moisturizer, but I think I went into my brow. Just getting that on the face and on the ear, down the neck. So as you can see, it's more of a dewy finish. It's not very matte, which I actually am starting to like more than I like matte, because matte just makes me look really textured or emphasizes my texture. So I really do like this formula. I wish they had my actual shade. Next we'll move on to the side for the sponge, and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of that out again, and just grabbing the side of the sponge. It is damp. We're just gonna apply that to the face. It does seem to go a lot further with the sponge. It's spreading it a lot nicer, and I feel like it looks much nicer on the skin with the sponge. On the side I have quite prominent veins on the side actually, but it's done a very good job at covering that. Okay, so that is the side with the sponge, and I think it looks much nicer than the other side for some reason. I don't know, it just looks like my pores are emphasized more on one side. The formula is really nice. I really do like it. It doesn't feel really heavy on the skin like a full cake face, and it's not drying. My face can still move. The next item we have is this concealer. The shade in this is Oatmeal, and it might look too light, but I think it would fit in really nicely with the redness of the BB cream. As always, just applying that under the eye, on the forehead, down the center of the nose, on the chin. Then I'm just going to take the other side of the sponge. It has a nice little dent over there, and we're just going to blend that in. Again, just tapping it and not dragging it, because you don't want to lift the foundation. I find that it blends out really, really nicely, very quickly, and it doesn't leave much of a residue like some of the others that I have. And as you can see, I've left it on the skin while I blended out everything else, and it's still blending out so nicely. And I find that now that I have experimented with a few different brands and a few different formulas, I do prefer a more blendable formula. I think everybody does. And then a cream formula. Other than that, you don't want it too wet or too dry, so you're dragging everything across the face. And that's the concealer. I think it looks really, really nice, and it brought down some of that redness. I'm just going to powder my face off camera because I didn't get a setting powder from Olivia Hale, so I'll just powder my face and we'll come back and we'll move on to bronzer. Next we're going to move on to bronzer, and my shade is just medium. It looks a little bit too light for me and the BB cream I have on, but I think it actually looks fine. The texture is quite nice. If you can see, it doesn't lift a lot of powder. So that was also, I think, £1.50, and I think it's really, really good. It definitely is gonna become one of my favorites because it's pigmented, but it's closer to my skin tone, I guess. So again, just putting that on the cheekbone and then placing it around the face. As usual, just blending everything out. And it doesn't have too much of an orange undertone, which I think brings down that redness in the foundation. So it's all about balance. I'm slowly learning that. Next we're going to move on to highlighter as usual, and that is what the highlighter looks like. The shade I got is called Golden Glow. Inside there is a little mirror and a brush, and we'll just use the mirror underneath and just adding that to the high points of the face. I really, really like this. As you probably know on my channel, I really do enjoy highlighters that don't have big flecks of glitter in, and I don't like it to be too prominent, but I really, really do love this formula. You know, I've seen lots of girls just add a big stripe across here, and honestly, if it works for you, then by all means do it, but I just prefer it to just hit the high points of my face in the light. Then just picking up a precision brush, I'm going to take some of that highlight and pop it under the brow bone here, and that's the highlight. It is very, very golden. Moving on to blush, that is what it looks like, and again it has a mirror underneath and a brush, which is always quite handy. When you're going out, you can just, you know, flip it over and use the mirror. So just grabbing a blush brush and dipping into that, and we'll just place that on the cheekbone, blending that up into the temple as always. Just a little bit of that on the nose. I really do like that shade though. It is like a pinky orangey shade, and I really, really do like that, and it blends really, really nicely with the highlight and the bronzer. It has the same gold shift as the highlighter does, so that looks really, really nice. Really, really like that. Lastly, we have the lips. So I bought a lipstick and lip liner duo. They came together, and the shade is called Cinnamon. Just going to line the lips with that. This lip liner is actually really, really nice and smooth. It glides onto the lips, unlike those ones I got from Amazon. I'll link that video up there if you want to see that. Honestly, it hurt my lips. Also the Wish one, which I'll link up here as well. That Wish one actually tore into my lip. I've never really been big on lip liners. I didn't really see the point in them until I started doing this. Like honestly, it helps you just get the shape of your lips and makes the lipstick not bleed too much or feather out like they call it. I'm not filling the lips, but I'm like lining it that much, if you can see. Then just to fill the lips with the lipstick, that's the shade as you can see. Formula is really, really nice. I really like the way it feels on the lips, even though it's matte like you can see. Unlike the e.l.f. one that I did, which I'll link up here, where it was a satin finish and it literally was so drying on the lips, where this is matte and this is only £1, where that one was I think £5. And this says matte, but it feels really, really nice on the lips, and it was only £1. This is our finished look using Olivia Hale makeup from Home Bargains. Final thoughts. So we'll start off with the things that I didn't like today. So I didn't like the liquid liner and I didn't like the mascara. The mascara makes a big mess on your face, and I'm pretty sure there's cheap ones that you can find out there that's better than this. Like I did like the concept of the wand because you can, you know, extend your lashes and stuff, but honestly it's just black pigment, to be honest. It's supposed to lengthen, and it did a little bit. It separated my lashes, but no. The primer was horrible. Didn't really like it. It's silicone based, so that's why I guess it was a bit shiny, but no. The liquid liner, as you can see, it goes really shiny and patchy. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's just a coating that I think would crack off. It's quite thick. I didn't like the applicator either. I like something a little bit more smoother and that applies nicely over shadows. So that's a no for the liner. Then I have two items that I am on the fence about, and that is the brow pencil. As I told you, it's really hard, and this is retractable obviously, and it's like an actual pencil. It's really hard to draw on, but I mean, made the most of it. It doesn't look terrible, but it definitely was not my favorite. The BB cream, obviously, like I said, I like the formula. As you can see, my face is nice and glowy even after I added that powder on. But honestly, the shade selection, I guess it's not a big company, is not very big. It's like light, medium, dark, and that's it, nothing in between. And usually I'd be like a light medium, but I mean, for I think it was £2, I guess you get what you pay for in that sense. I did like the formula, I just didn't like the shade. I'm not a red undertone, but this was the closest that I could get. Otherwise I had to take something like coffee, which is way too dark. Everything else I did like. So let's start with the eyes and the palette. I've made a mess in it, but I think it worked really well. It's just the glitter that falls out really, but the mattes had minimal fallout, and it's actually layerable, and the formula is actually really nice. And for I think £1.29, I'm not sure, it's really good for 12 shades. They did only have, I think, this palette and one more with like blues and blacks, and just not things that I would necessarily wear because it would close my eyes off, but that was really good. Very nice collection, and my mom would probably love that. The concealer, oh, I love this concealer, and I think it's gonna be one of my favorites for sure. It blended out really nicely. It's not too noticeable on the skin. It just brightened up my under eyes, and that was all it did. It didn't leave any residue, and it blended out like a dream. So those are things I look for in a concealer, and this definitely hit the mark, and it was only £1, so definite yes. The bronzer, like I said, I really did like it. It layered up really nicely with the blush, and it is definitely a little bit too light, I'd say, but I think with a different foundation it would look really nice. So that's a yes for the bronzer. Like I said, my shade was medium, but really did like that for £1. The highlight, I said it before, I really liked it. just accented the blush really nicely with that gold shift in it. And really, like I said before, I've just gotten into highlighters, so it's kind of new to me and I'm still finding my feet, but definitely really did love this formula. Even though it looked really shimmery, it didn't have big flecks of glitter. So definite yes. The blush, I said this already, but really loved it. The shade is just amazing. The shade it's called Rosy, sorry. So that was also £1. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Definitely gonna be one of my favorites too. The lip liner and lipstick, obviously it goes really, really well with the look. The oranges and, you know, reds and stuff, it goes really, really nicely. So I think that helps the shade, but the formula was really, really, really good. It says matte, it looks matte, but it feels really nice on the lips. So definitely winning with that. The brow gel, I really did like it. I thought that I wouldn't like it because it was a clear brow gel, but look, all my brows have stayed in place this whole time, and that is what you look for in a brow gel, not something that's tinted and then is sticky and messy. So that is amazing. I really, really like that. Also £1. So in all, for the beauty blender and the foundation brush included, I paid, I think, £20. So that's a full face for £20. Definite yes, would recommend. Go out and get it. I did also get this little mirror at Home Bargains, which was also £1.50, I think. And I got a lip balm, which is from EOS, and honestly I really, really, really would recommend going there and just doing a little haul, because honestly I went mental. I was happy, went crazy in the store. So yeah, anyway guys, that's it for me. Sorry for rambling, but as you know, we are still waiting to reveal our giveaway when we reach 100 subscribers. We at the moment have 77, so please share and just forward me on to everybody else so we can get there. Our aim is obviously 1,000, so the more exposure we get, the better. Share it on social media, share it on TikTok, on wherever you can, please, please, please. Thank you so much to everybody who has already subscribed. You guys really are legends and it means so much to me, but keep watching, and thank you so much again. Bye.